Hi, I'm Mark, and welcome to this episode of Adults Only Minecraft, the YouTube series dedicated solely to the adult Minecrafter. Joining us in the studio today is Noggle26. Noggle spends most of his time in creative mode and on public servers. His dream is to someday build a full-scale model of a 1-meter square stone cube. Good luck, Noggle. Let's give him a warm round of applause. As an adult Minecrafter, it can often be difficult to find the time to explore more complex subjects like grinders, villager trading, redstone, automated farms, etc. So in this and future episodes, I'm going to spend some time giving you a basic overview of some of the more complex aspects of Minecraft. Once you get those core concepts, you'll be able to move on and have a lot more fun. In this episode, we're going to talk about redstone. This is probably the most complex aspect of the game. In essence, redstone is Minecraft's electronics. It allows you to build projects that can do anything from lighting a redstone lamp to creating a fully functioning calculator. But no matter what you build, it all starts with understanding the basics. At the core of it all is the redstone signal. This is analogous to electricity. And just like electricity, there are items that generate a redstone signal, there are items that transmit that signal, and there are items that do something based on the presence or absence of that signal. Let's start off with the common items that generate a redstone signal. The easiest to understand is a redstone block. It simply generates a constant redstone signal and is always on. Similar to that is a lever. If you turn a lever on, it generates a redstone signal. Turn it off, and it doesn't. On the same line is a pressure plate. Put something or somebody on a pressure plate, and it'll generate a signal. Slightly more complex is a tripwire. If something or somebody is on the tripwire hooks on the ends will both generate a redstone signal. One unusual item is the trapped chest. When it's open, it generates a continuous redstone signal. When it's closed, it stops. Another redstone signal generator is a daylight sensor. It's basically a solar panel. If you put light on it, it generates a signal. Put it in the dark, and it doesn't. Now, all the items we've talked about thus far are capable of producing a constant redstone signal. However, there is something called a redstone pulse that's a little different. A pulse is a short on-off signal that travels through the redstone circuit. Now, one of the easiest ways of producing a pulse is with a button. If you push a button, it generates a short pulse and then turns off. In order to generate another pulse, you need to push the button again. Finally, there's the Redstone Torch. It's similar to a redstone block in that it can generate a constant signal. However, if a redstone torch is powered, it will turn off. As simple as this sounds, it has huge implications in the building of redstone projects. Now let's move on to items that transmit a redstone signal. The simplest of these is Redstone Dust. Think of it as a wire. Its sole task is to transmit a redstone signal. Then there are the blocks themselves. Most blocks can be powered as a way to transmit a signal. On the slightly more complex side of things is the repeater. Repeaters are like electronic diodes in that they only allow a redstone signal to travel in one direction. They also have the special quality of amplifying a redstone signal back to full strength. Since a signal can have different strengths and gets reduced over distance, it's often necessary to boost that signal back to full strength. In addition, a repeater can delay a redstone signal. By right-clicking on it, it will cycle through 3 delay settings. Each setting adds a longer delay. Finally, there's one item I didn't mention, and that's a comparator. Quite honestly, it's one component that's a little too complex to discuss in this video. Now that you know how to produce and transmit a redstone signal, let's put it to good use. The simplest way to do this is with a redstone lamp like the ones we've been using. If you give it a redstone signal, it will light up. Take it away, and it goes off. Equally simple are doors, gates, and trapdoors. Give them a signal and they open. Take it away, and they close. And then there are pistons. They extend when you power them, and retract when they're unpowered. On another note is the note block. Give it a redstone pulse and it will play a musical note. People have put together note block contraptions that can play an entire symphony. Next up are dispensers and droppers. Each time they receive a pulse, they'll spit out an item. Each operates a little differently depending on the items you put in and the configuration. Check out the wiki for more information. Finally are the hoppers. When they're powered, they can be used to store items. However, when they're unpowered, they will transfer those items onto a chest, another hopper, a brewing stand, a furnace, etc. Now that you know most of the pieces and parts of redstone, let's take a look at 10 basic concepts and tips. In most cases, redstone dust will power a block beneath it. For example, you can see here how the dust is powering the lamps it's placed on. Typically, the redstone dust has to point at the item in order to power it. It's not enough that it simply runs next to it. If you're having trouble with redstone dust connecting to itself, try placing a repeater or two in place of the dust. A redstone signal has a power level of 0 to 15. The signal drops one level for each block traveled until it reaches 0. A redstone torch can be used to create what is called an inverter. An inverter simply changes an off signal to on and an on signal to off. You'll use these a lot when you're building with redstone. Placing blocks corner to corner like this can effectively cut the redstone signal. Unfortunately, you'll frequently have to work around this issue. Redstone contraptions can take up a lot of space. Plan ahead to accommodate for this and strive to make your builds as compact, efficient, and elegant as possible. Using light-colored blocks in your redstone builds makes it a lot easier to see the dust and track problems. As you've seen, I typically use white wool for my contraptions. If you're building in survival, I'd recommend you make a creative world for research and development. This allows you to build and test things without the restrictions of survival mode and gives you an idea of the blocks you'll need. And finally, minecarts and rails can add a whole new dimension of building with redstone. They also introduce an additional level of complexity, and that's beyond the scope of this show. But we'll be covering that in a future episode.
And those are the basics of redstone. Now, this is by no means everything you need to know, but it is a great start. And hopefully right now your mind is churning with some excellent ideas for what you could build. If you're looking for more in-depth tutorials or some awesome projects, then by all means check out YouTube. They're all over the place. Well, that wraps it up for us today. If you liked what you saw, leave us a thumbs up or a comment, or better yet, subscribe to the channel. If you didn't like it, keep that to yourself. Thanks for watching.